Behind the code, the frameworks, and the breakthroughs
are stories of triumph, failure,
resilience, and growth.
This is the developer's journey.
With your hosts, Ronald Dolph
and Olivia McVicker.
I still deal with imposter syndrome. I didn't show my face in my first year of videos because it took me that long to even get that comfortable.
April Dunnam is a Microsoft Power Platform advocate, a YouTuber, and a speaker who helps developers and businesses build apps and automate processes with low-code solutions.
Power Platform always evolved quickly, but now this is more like a paradigm shift. Don't let you get in your own way. Don't let things hold you back. Even if it doesn't feel like it's working right now, just keep swimming, just keep trying, and you'll get to where you need to go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Developer's Journey. I'm Olivia, and here with my co-host, Reynold. Hey, Reynold.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And today we have an awesome guest, April Dunnam, and we're so excited to have her on. So, April, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Cool. Well, to kick us off, we like to kind of set the stage. If you could give everyone just a background of what you currently do and maybe just a Reader's Digest version of your journey to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work at Microsoft in our developer relations team. I lead a team of Power Platform advocates. So I've been here about, 5.5 years, going on 6 here in December. And been in the advocacy org for about the majority of that time. I kind of initially joined in our partner organization as a partner technical architect, really been in the Power Platform space and low-code development for the last 7-8 years. And prior to that, I did a lot of .NET and SharePoint development. So I did that full circle from a pro dev to more of the low-code side of things and been going with that for a few years now. And it's been really fun, a really good journey.
Awesome. .NET and SharePoint development. I used to do that too. Sounds funny. Yeah. But yeah, definitely different with the Power Platform and low-code perspective. How did you kind of make the transition from those different development styles?
Yeah, I think it kind of came naturally. So for a long time in my career, I did my own kind of independent consulting. So I ran a really small consulting company. And here in Oklahoma, it's a lot of oil and gas. So it was a lot of, forms over data type work I was doing in .NET at the time and SharePoint. And so it was kind of natural when I saw the Power Platform come along that it made sense to navigate to that if I could, because it was going to be cheaper in the long run for the clients. They would be able to maintain it. Ideally, I could do some training and all that. And so I just kind of started getting interesting, seeing could I do what I'm doing now with full code, and could I do that in the Power Platform and make it a little bit easier for them to maintain and get them a solution faster, and started convincing some clients. And then I kind of just ran with it from that point, started eventually turning our whole business from a custom dev shop to a full Power Platform dev shop, because it just really took off because it's just the scaling of it, right? I mean, not having to have that dependency on a developer to update everything and being able to train up regular business users and people with non-tech backgrounds to be able to update these solutions was really a no-brainer.
So the Power Platform work that you were doing that you just described, was that before you got to Microsoft?
Yeah, that was before. So I did for about 7-8 years before I joined Microsoft. I was doing my own consulting company and doing a lot of that stuff. So ended up getting my MVP, Most Valuable Professional award because of the work I was doing in the space. And then that kind of led me to my journey here at Microsoft.
Well, so that background makes you, I knew you were very well suited for your current role, but that is perfect for how you ended up here then, right? Because you have all that firsthand experience of how that helped transform your own business on the side. And then also you work with MVPs a lot now too. So do you feel like all of that kind of led you naturally to Microsoft, and that kind of seemed like the next step?
Yeah, it was really kind of a full circle moment, I guess, because I did have the consulting background and I hit the Power Platform, I felt like at the right time, right when it was coming out. So I was able to be one of those early adopters that was kind of proving that it worked for customers and getting those customer stories and use cases and all of that. So that was really helpful. And then the combination of that, me getting into the speaking circuit and, blogging and all of that, which led to the MVP, which then led to me speaking at Ignite and then getting the Microsoft offer. It just kind of all seemed to happen organically and fall into place because, like I said, at the time, they couldn't find enough people with an expertise in the Power Platform space because it was so new at the time and not a lot of people doing that.
Okay, so let's jump back here because that's some gold that you just happened to skip over. And then I found some gold, okay, Imagine you were like doing some talk and then it led to an offer. Explain to me, walk me through like that process. Did you happen to run into someone in Microsoft and start chatting with them and have to ask them about it? Or did someone approach you or did someone email you?
Yeah, so I was actually approached. I never thought that I would join Microsoft. I don't know. Maybe I had imposter syndrome going on. I just never even crossed my mind to apply for any job here. But when I was a partner, so we're a Microsoft partner doing the consulting stuff, and we were wanting to develop a solution with the Power Platform and on top of Microsoft Teams. So we got looped into one of the Microsoft partner technical architects through that program to help us kind of flesh out and build a solution. And that person happened to be Bob German, who you both may know that we work with. I was working with Bob on this kind of prototype for a solution for a while. And he kind of mentioned to me, like, hey, in the partner org, we could really use someone like you that has a pro dev background, knows Teams development, but also knows Power Platform. So if you're ever interested, let me know. So I thought about it for a little bit and was like, well, I never thought that this would be something that I would actually be able to do. So I went for it and I applied. And the timing of all that was kind of crazy because I had just gotten my MVP and I just got my first big speaking gig because up until then I only did like regional stuff. And I somehow landed a spot at Ignite 2019. And that was kind of the testing ground, I guess. So I was in the middle of interviews at that point. I did a few phone interviews. I got through the screening, and the hiring manager was going to be at Ignite. And I think he was going to attend my session and kind of vet me and see, okay, does this person know what they're doing? Are they able to, capture a room? So it was very nerve wracking, but I guess that went well because I got a phone call the next day after I delivered my session there that I got the job. So it was a crazy time.
But the interview process itself, like, do you remember, like, were you getting questions that you expected? How many people did you interview? Because some people, there's like a lot of people that wish that they worked at Microsoft. So I want to kind of like get them an idea of like what the process was like and like how did you prepare, or if you didn't really have to because you've already been doing like what they needed.
I honestly didn't really know how to prepare. If I remember right, it's been a while ago, so I'm trying to like think back to that 5 years ago. I think there was about 3 rounds of interviews that I ended up going through. So, an interview with about 3 to 4 people, because there were some where there was 2 people in the interview, and it was a lot. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. There's a mix of, kind of soft skills questions like how would you handle, this circumstance if it came up, but then some technical stuff. So I had to talk about what are some solutions that I built? What are the challenges? How would I architect X solution and kind of those type of things? But it was nothing that I honestly couldn't handle looking back. I was already doing the stuff day to day, and I think it was just a fit and kind of made sense, and it was nothing too challenging and too scary.
Mhm. I want to circle back to what you said earlier about how you just maybe never saw yourself at Microsoft and you think maybe it was imposter syndrome. Maybe you just thought, oh, that was unattainable. Looking back now, do you feel like, that experience at Ignite and then getting that Microsoft offer helped you overcome imposter syndrome? Did it just kind of magically disappear? Or do you feel like you still kind of had to work through it once you're at Microsoft? What was that process like?
It definitely helped. It didn't disappear. I mean, I think at times deal with that to this day when I'm especially thrown into like new situations. When I started managing a team, I was like, okay, imposter syndrome all over again because I haven't did this before. It's all these new experiences, but I think that was kind of a confidence boost that I needed at Ignite because I was a relatively new speaker. I had like 200 people show up. I've never spoke to that many people before. And I had a, line of people wanting to ask questions, and I just got really good feedback and then getting the job offer on top of that. So it definitely helped me internally think, okay, maybe I can reach bigger audiences. Maybe I am prepared for that next step into Microsoft and to really give this a try. But every bigger stage, every, like next thing that you're just never done before and not quite comfortable with, I still deal with imposter syndrome.
I think that transparency is so refreshing to hear too, because I think a lot of times people will watch your videos and be like, wow, she knows it. She's got this handle. Like she's amazing. And you are. But I think it's really refreshing too to kind of hear you say, there's always something new to learn. And with that can come those feelings of imposter syndrome, that anxiety. And everyone's just trying to grow and kind of figure it out along the way. So I really appreciate you sharing that perspective there.
I've always thought that there were 3 different levels of learning. First, consume the knowledge, whether it's through watching videos or reading. You're just taking in information. The second is to practice, get hands-on training, so you learn by doing. But the third, which I think is the most powerful, is to teach. That is, explain what you've just learned to others, because that forces you to really understand the material. Plus, it also helps you get better at presentations. And if you share it online, there's the other bonus of building your brand. So don't just consume knowledge, don't just practice it, but also consider teaching it, whether to your colleagues or to an audience, if not just for them, for reinforcing the knowledge within yourself.
And obviously, you're also very active on YouTube. You have your own YouTube channel. Is that something you started pre-Microsoft along the way, pre-even public speaking? How did that fit into your journey?
Yeah, that was really early on. So I started that a few years before I joined Microsoft, and that was early on in my speaking days. So kind of the trajectory of how it happened, I was learning all this new stuff. I was getting into it started when I was getting into SharePoint development, so even before Power Platform, and I was just learning and absorbing so much. So I initially started blogging and just getting my thoughts out there because, I was taking notes on like, if I'm struggling with this, I think other people are, I might as well throw it on a blog. Then I have it on record for myself and maybe it helps a few people. So I did that for a little bit. Then I slowly started getting into the local speaking circuit and all of that. And it kind of progressed into YouTube because I personally loved learning from YouTube. So if I was struggling with something, I was going out on YouTube and I was looking at the times, especially when I was learning Power Platform, like the Shane Young, who's a really big Power Ops YouTuber. Back then, I was looking at Leela Garani for Excel stuff, like all of those, a guy in a cube if I wanted to learn dashboards and all that. And that's how I would love to learn. And I honestly hated blogging. So I did it so that I would have that record of, what I was learning and to be able to help people. But I'm just not, a great writer. It's really tedious and all that. So I thought, well, if these people can do YouTube, maybe I should just give it a try. And it took me a while to actually take that step because I was really nervous. I was like self-conscious about what is my voice going to sound like? I always hated my voice, like on recordings,
Wow.
just those things, those silly little things that get in your head. And it's like, oh, I don't want to show my face. I didn't show my face in like my first year of videos. It was just audio over screen recording because it took me that long to even get that comfortable and even get okay with hearing my voice recorded back. So it was a long process to get there, but I just loved it so much more because I just always found it easier to get on a screen share or do a talk and explain something to someone that way rather than writing it down. And that's kind of how I gravitated towards it.
What pushed you to finally say, you know what, I'll show my face today. Today's the day.
I think it was like encouragement from someone in the community actually. So they kind of noticed that I started the channel and they're like, I really like your videos. Why don't just curious? Why don't you show your face on your videos? I'm like, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to open myself up to that criticism, because how people can be mean on the internet and all that. And, they were just really encouraging. Like, look, I'm not pressuring you, but I think that would make people connect with you more if you kind of showed your face in videos. And I don't think you'll get as much hate as you think. I think people are nicer than you're giving them credit for. And if they do, I'll heckle them in the comments. So he was really cool about it. He was like, I'll reply, I'll have your back. So he kind of gave me that little push. I'm like, okay, next video, I'm going to do it. And been sticking with it ever since. So
They're like, I want to look into your eyes while I'm learning. I want to know I can
yeah.
trust your knowledge. Has there ever been a moment when someone in your audience had like, major breakthrough because of like something you taught? Do you ever get any type of feedback like that?
I do. Like, I've been really blessed, I have to say. Like, that's the most rewarding thing about the whole YouTube thing is I've been to conferences before, and I remember this was at the Power Platform conference, I think 1 or 2 years ago. But they organize these meet and greet things with quote unquote celebrities or people that have YouTube channels. And so I was doing one of those and getting to talk with a lot of people in the community. And someone came up to me and she was like, I know you don't know me, but I feel like I know you. Like, and I've known you for a while. And she started sharing her story that she was a maintenance supervisor. So no really technical background or anything like that. But she started hearing about this thing at work called Power Platform. And she noticed, hey, I don't have to know how to code to build this. There's so many things that I think I could maybe build that would help my organization. And so she took it upon herself to just start researching, and she found a few YouTubers, myself included. And just in a year's time, from using my videos, others' videos and all that, she was able to completely change her career. So she went from a maintenance supervisor to she was a Power Platform developer for a company, developing solutions as her day-to-day job. And so that was really rewarding. And since then I've had a few people kind of with similar stories. And it's just I can't believe that in some small way I was able to change someone's career and actually get them down a development career. It's crazy.
I love vibe coding. It lets you jump in, build fast, and get creative without overthinking every single step. But here's the catch. You cannot take it for granted. If you rely only on vibes, then you're going to hit walls that you cannot climb. That's why it's important to take a step back, learn the fundamentals, and figure out what's actually going on behind the scenes. The real advantage of vibe coding is balance, moving quickly when you can, and knowing the details when you need them.
The way you're describing Power Platform, like I've heard of Power Platform. I haven't messed around with it, but it kind of feels like a predecessor to vibe coding. You're building without actually having to like code a lot. So now with everything going on with AI, do you see like an opportunity to make Power Platform like even easier, like through AI, or how is that affecting your space?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to describe it, right? So it was like vibe coding before there was vibe coding because you didn't have to know how to code and all that. And I think with vibe coding, it's just getting even more powerful. So if you look at things like Power Apps, which is the way to build applications within the Power Platform, they're adding in all kinds of generative AI capability in there to be able to build solutions. So you don't even have to know the low code formula language. You just put in a prompt like you would in GitHub Spark or Copilot and all that, and it builds the application for you. We have Plan Designer that helps you actually architect out. So it goes beyond the UI into what data model do you need? Who are your business users? What are your user stories? What processes are part of the solution? It helps you architect that. So, and I think that's the unique thing about the Power Platform is we have all those generative capabilities in it, but we also have all these other tools that work together. So you're not only building an application, you then have the power to add an AI agent onto that, add a workflow, add a dashboard, because it all works together and within guardrails. So that's really the big thing. It's you're not, coming into it not knowing anything about code and pushing it out and hoping it's secure and works. And this is really meant for building solutions for your internal business, and it has all of these security guardrails so it's not, it's going to be secure, it's going to be safe. We have data loss prevention policies, all of that baked in so you can really build and vibe code with those guardrails in place.
That's a really good overview. So, you've been involved in the Power Platform space for a while now. Has this last 6 months just kind of seemed crazy with all the generative AI being added into it? Like, what has that landscape looked like from you, and like how you view your holistic Power Platform career and this age of AI, and how have you stayed on top of trends? How have you been able to keep people updated with everything that's changing because it's changing so quickly? How have you been able to keep yourself updated because everything's changing so quickly?
That's a million dollar question. Like, I mean, Power Platform always evolved quickly, but now in the last year, 6 months, it's like really difficult to keep up because of all the AI stuff. It's really been interesting because there's always been changes, but this is more like a paradigm shift in how you even think about building. So it's less about the individual apps and it's more about, the agent story and how all of these tools are kind of fundamental pieces for helping you build agents with Copilot Studio is kind of how it's evolved. So I'm constantly reading release notes. I'm constantly meeting with the product team and people to try to see, okay, what's coming next? What do I need to be aware of so I can make sure the community is aware of that as soon as it's ready? So we've been actively building curriculum for Copilot Studio, getting started using some of the new stuff that's coming out, and just trying our best to stay on top and through our videos and our content and all that, keeping the community informed so that they can stay on top of it too. It's a lot to do because there's just so many different things from all spaces, whether it's, vibe coding apps to agents with MCP and Copilot Studio and AI prompts. It's a lot to keep up with, but I try my best.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, right, you mentioned keeping on top for your own knowledge, sharing that out with the community, doing all the general advocacy work. And then you also mentioned you manage a team as well. How do you balance all of that in your current role? And what advice do you have for people who maybe want to be able to do all those things? How can they balance it and have a holistic view there?
It's definitely not easy. I think you need to kind of have your own guardrails and constraints and really be your own keeper of your time and respect that. You got to avoid burnout with all this. If you're trying to, manage a team, keep up with all these updates, push valuable content out, that's really time consuming. So I think having, your calendar blocked out and really planning out your schedule. And it's so easy, especially for workaholics like me, to work and work and then realize, okay, I've been working 14 hours today. I really need to shut off. I've been sitting on my computer while I'm supposed to be like having chill time with my husband watching a show, and I've been working and not paying any attention or not talking. So I think it's just having those clear delineations of, okay, this is my relaxed time, this is my work time. And what I've even had to start doing is scheduling blocks in the morning for me to just catch up on work emails, to go actively read what is happening, what's the latest news, what's going on in the community, so I can keep updated, and then have actual work block times, because otherwise your calendar is just full of meetings and other things, and I can tend to get distracted by emails that pop up. So I just have to really schedule everything out accordingly to keep on top of it. So that's my biggest tip.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned being a workaholic. Do you feel like there's pressure to do that, or do you think it's just because you love Power Platform so much, and so there's just so much to learn, and not enough hours in the day?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think, there's definitely a hustle culture still, right? Like, I think it's getting better over the years, but that's still a thing. So I feel like I gotta keep up with that. But I think it's mostly my own internal. I've always been this way, like since I was a kid. I was a geek. I was a band nerd. I love school. I wanted to, get the extra credit. So it's just in my personality, I think, to be that way. So I gotta check it sometimes so I don't burn out. But I love what I do, so that really helps too. It doesn't feel like a lot. That's why I'm able to work 14 hours, not realize it, because I do generally like what I'm doing.
Mhm.
How do you explain to non-devs like what Power Platform is?
I mean, I loved how you explained it earlier. It's kind of like vibe coding before there was vibe coding, right? It's just a way for anyone, regardless of your technical background, to build internal business solutions for your organization. And it's a platform because it has solutions that allow you to build applications, workflows, AI agents, dashboards and analytics, even websites. And they all work together, and they all share some of the same services, like the ability to connect to different first and third party services, and the ability to have those same security guardrails and all of that. So it's just really a platform that enables everyone to build business solutions fast and quickly, now with even more AI capability behind it.
And then speaking of AI capabilities, with this low code with Power Platform, do you find yourself or a lot of the people you talk to, do they use tools like GitHub Copilot a lot? Or are they kind of more abstracted out from more of that code first?
Oh yeah, I mean, I personally use it all the time. I know everyone on my team does. And so with Power Platform, there's a lot of things that we do that are more on the pro code side for integrations, like building things like custom connectors to connect to third-party services or MCP servers and all of that. So naturally do that in VS Code and tools like that. And we use GitHub Copilot all the time. We're in the middle of building curriculum. So I've been using it, just simple things to help me with markdown files, just to make sure like the formatting is consistent, there's no issues. It was a lifesaver for me on this, Copilot Studio estimator tool that I was working on, because I haven't, like, straight up, pro dev coded something in a little bit, because 'cause I've been so much in Power Platform land, but I was having to build that, and it was like I loved it. I was literally having a pair programmer with me the whole time, helping me, like, refactor stuff and think through the architecture. So I love it. I know a lot of people in our space, in the Power Platform side, love it too and use it all the time for those more integration with the Power Platform.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear your perspective of just like how all these tools fit together and how they can all solve different pieces of what you currently do and how you can work AI into essentially everything, right? Even just like you're saying, markdown files, like let's use it there. As you've been going through this, are there any pain points you found with meshing some of those different copilots together? Has GitHub Copilot worked well with your workflows you've been doing? Are there any kind of things you hope to see on the roadmap there?
I mean, so far it's worked really well. I mean, as far as what I'd like to see, just deeper integration, I guess, with the Power Platform space. So, like, being able to take a Power Platform solution and be able to like ask Copilot about that, like open it up within, the actual YAML files and be able to like work with it. That would be cool. But overall, for what I've needed it for, it's been amazing. And of course, like anything, you still got to check it, and there's a few things that you got to make sure that it actually does right. But I mean, it saves so much time.
So, what does a typical day look for April, as like manager for your platform team? And then for your Power Platform developers, what does a typical day look like? Do they go through the same cycles like regular software developers where they're planning, or do they have a scrum, or how does it work?
For me, since I do manage a team, a lot of it is that kind of general planning with, so meeting with our product team stakeholders, making sure that I know what's coming and that what their priorities are, but then also what does the community actually need and being that conduit between the two and figuring out what we as a team need to focus on. So, we use Azure DevOps for all of our planning. We kind of start brainstorming in a loop. We'll move it to DevOps when we have more thought out plans of what we're actually going to be working on. And then from the actual, as an advocate side, taking off the manager hat, it's really a creative space. So I go from strategy a lot to that creative space of whether it's, I could jump in a given day from scripting out a video to recording a video to writing a lab module on how to, create an autonomous agent, to even going and doing a presentation, all the above. It's like a lot of creative flow, and I'm often shifting from even various topics. I might be talking about apps and then agents, and within the one span of a day. So it's just a lot of, strategy and creation.
When I asked the question, I don't know why I was thinking like developers, yeah, still within advocacy. I was having like engineering in my mind. That's why like I had to mention Scrum. Um, do you guys have to work? Do you guys connect often with the Power Platform engineers as advocates then, or are you pretty much solo and you just like read release notes and then you're independent?
Oh no, we're talking with engineers and the product team a lot to figure out, what we need to do because we kind of rely on them to know ahead of time before it's even in the release notes. Kind of like, is our thinking sound? Is what we're going to be planning on doing this whole, learn module on going to be applicable in a year or 6 months even with the pace of things that are coming, and then also just what are they seeing? Like, what do they need our help with? Because a lot of times, they're a little bit farther removed from the community than we are. So we're kind of able to give them some insight of what we're hearing and hopefully help shape some plans there as well. So it's a constant, kind of daily thing with everyone on the team to be chatting with them and trying to just help work together and then help make the voice of the community and the customer translate too.
You've been in your career for a while now, but if you could start over, what do you wish you knew at the start that would probably make you even more happier, content?
I always struggle with that question personally because I don't know if I'm just overanalyzing and overthinking, but I don't think there's anything that I would want to give advice wise because I think it's those detours, those kind of like missteps, slow starts, and all that that helped me get to where I am today. So I would be too afraid that I go give some grand advice and that changes how I do things too much and I don't end up where I am. So I don't know. I think it's more about if I were to whisper something like to my younger self, it would just be I don't know if you watch Finding Nemo, but Dory, just keep swimming because like I think sometimes like that's just the biggest motivation that I think I would need at times, more or less than like, hey, make sure that you go and do this talk, at at this time, and start doing this sooner. It would be more just don't let things hold you back, even if it doesn't feel like it's working right now or you feel like you're really behind. Just keep swimming, just keep trying, and you'll get to where you need to go.
I love that. Would you say that that's kind of the piece of advice you would give others who maybe want to follow in your footsteps and have a similar journey to what you've had?
Yeah, I mean, I would think just don't let you get in your own way is the biggest thing because I think I shared earlier like I didn't start a YouTube channel earlier because I was too afraid of what my voice would sound like, what I would look like, and what feedback I would get. So try if you can to not let those thoughts and let yourself get in your way and just do it. Just try. Just start simple, start rough and dirty. Try something, see if it sticks, and then learn and grow.
That's great advice. April, with the developer's journey, there's obviously peaks and valleys. So we like to kind of end everyone's interview with, what is a day that was a hardship in your career, something you struggled with, and how did you overcome it? And then vice versa, what was one of the best days of your career? And can you share a little bit about that?
I don't think I have a worse day. And it's not to say that I haven't had bad days. There's been plenty, but there's not just a singular day where I'm like, okay, that's horrible, the worst day of my life. I think it's more of a collection of different things. So, like, obviously not everything's smooth sailing, but, I've suffered from bits of burnout. I've suffered from miscommunication issues causing turmoil, the imposter syndrome, like we spoke about earlier, just general drama, drop balls, clients from HE double hockey sticks we've had to deal with, all of that. So I think it's just a collection of those things. But I try not to see those as failures or anything like that. I think it's more the process of learning and growing, and try to think that every one of those missteps and things has brought me to where I am today. And if anything, taught me how to set better boundaries and speak up sooner, and not be too hard on myself and overanalyze everything. So I think it's just more of a collection of a bunch of little things, I would say.
Yeah, learning moments along the way. That makes sense.
Yeah,
So
for
do you
sure.
feel that when those more challenging moments happen, the reason you don't feel comfortable just like pointing out one, it's because you feel that you're pretty good at just saying, "Oh, well, that happened. Let's move on, learning lesson." Because there's some people that struggle with that and they might sit and let it soak in their head, or as some people say now, it's like they let that client from that HE double hockey sticks. Is that what you said? They
Yeah.
let it sit in their head rent free, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
people struggle with just getting past that. Have you always been like that, or
I had to work on it, and honestly, I can't say a specific one because I don't remember the details of a specific one, because I've really gotten good at just letting it go. Like I'll let it sit there for like a day, and if I need to, heck, I'm a big fan of rage rooms. I don't know if either of you have been to a rage room, but if it's really bothering me, I'll go take it out in the rage room, too, and then I'll just let it go. And so since I've been doing that for a long time now, say, I don't know, at least 5 to 10 years. I honestly don't remember the details of some of these things because I've truly let it go out of my mind. So I'm sure if something came up, today or yesterday or this week, I would have it as an example and be able to tell you. But so far, knock on wood, it's been good. So yeah, it's not there. It's not taking up space, and I can't even remember the details.
no? Yeah, no, I think more importantly is the fact that you've gotten good at letting it go. And I think that's like the lesson people could take away from that.
That's a very freeing mindset. And to your point, Reynold, I think that that's something that everyone should take away from this, is setbacks, challenges, bad days are going to happen, but they don't define you. And one day you'll look back and you'll, just like April, be like, I don't even remember the details what happened there. Something that felt so monumental and so big in the moment. It was just a day in your whole career, in your whole journey. And ultimately it's something that made you stronger and that you learned from.
Now, what about the positive? You're not going to tell me that, oh, I just let that go and it happens.
No, I definitely remember the positive things. There's been a lot. I have to go back to what we kind of talked about earlier, though. I think Ignite 2019. If I were to think of one pivotal moment, I mean that was it, because it was the highest of the highs. I had just got my MVP, which is something that I wasn't really expecting, didn't know if I would get because I had got denied 2 times prior to that. So that was a pleasant surprise. I had got my first big speaking gig. I was getting to go to Orlando, which I'd never been to. That alone was fun. And then I delivered this session. I got that job. And then that job, come to find out, a year later, is what got me into advocacy, because my now boss was in that session and kind of remembered me. I was like, oh yeah, she knows, she was kind of, got on her radar. So if I think of one time that was just the most, up until this date, the most pivotal moment of my career, and completely shaped everything that has happened since. And it was a fun time. I made so many friends as well, just like on a personal level, at that conference too, that I still have to this day. So it was just amazing.
That's great. And just for those that might not know the acronym MVP, what does that stand for?
Most valuable professional.
And that's something that someone usually gets from what?
So something that Microsoft gives out to people in the community that are actively, blogging, talking, educating about different tech areas. So you have, all kinds of categories of MVPs. You can be a .NET MVP, a Power Platform MVP, Microsoft 365. And so they just kind of look for people in the community in these different tech areas and find the ones that are out there that you see everywhere, that are at every event, that are organizing user groups, doing all this community work and educating people. And they kind of recognize them with this award to show that they kind of went the extra mile and are really helping people in the community.
That's awesome. And that's not something you apply to get. It's like they recognize that and they come and they say, hey, right?
Yeah, you have to be nominated. So now you have to be nominated by someone at Microsoft to be able to even be considered for it. Yep.
April, as you were talking, like one phrase that kept kind of sticking in my mind that I always like to say is the harder I work, the luckier I got. I think a lot of how you describe things like, oh, I happened to be at Ignite when this happened to be happening. And I think it's just such a true testament to you worked so hard throughout this and you had such a clear focus and such a clear commitment to sharing your knowledge with others. And all that hard work led you to where you are today. And it brought you to so many opportunities to have those pivotal moments. And so I just think that it's really cool to see that uh, throughout your journey and to hear all the things that you've been through to get you to where you are now and that you still love what you're doing and that you still have plenty of opportunities to grow and learn. And so, yeah, thank you for being here to share that.
Oh, thank you so much. I always believe that. I might not be the smartest in the room, but I'm going to work the hardest and it'll pay off eventually. So,
That means everything. Thanks so much, April. Everyone else, again, thanks for joining us on this another episode of Developer's Journey. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And we'll see you in the next episode.